to tell him when I was a football player I didn't need to do that. I'm ready to go. He said, get in the car. I said, get in the car. I'm taking you over to Arbondale. We're going to find out how good a shape you're in. I said, what do you mean? I'm a football player. He said, no, get in the car. I said, oh, okay. I get in the car. He said, now let's see how many pull-ups you can do. I know how many Gary can do. How many can you do? And I'm like struggling to do these things. He said, you don't do pull-ups. You can't do pull-ups. Sure enough, we worked on that every day. The shuttle run, the pull-ups, all the things we had to do. He trained me on those things after school for weeks. And sure enough, on the day we went to take the test, I got the best score of anyone. There were 300 kids, and I outscored them all. And it was because of Mr. Donaldson. And again, I spent every day there. And he said, okay, look, the next thing is you got to meet with congressmen. You got to go through this interview process. I said, yeah, I can talk to anybody, no problem. I'm a student body president of the high school, man. No sweat. You know, I was the arrogant kid. He says, no, you can't do this. And he said, you got to practice, you got to train, you got to get ready. And he said, Gary, what are the questions they asked you last year? And Gary told him, but he wrote them all down. He said, now you go home and you write these questions on a 3x5 card and you write an answer and you study these every day for the next 6 weeks. And I did. Every morning I went through them. And by the time I got done, I was ready. And I went in there and I got every question. Zing, boom, got them, no problem. And I got the principal nomination out of the area, which means I get to go to West Point. So I get to join my West Point brother. And that's the kind of man he was. He didn't want anything, like you said, from other people, except one thing. He wanted your best effort. He wanted everything you had. He wanted no excuses. He demanded that you give it all. And in that, he changed my life. He helped me understand what that was about. What it meant to give it all. What it meant to be prepared. You guys know about this because you live with him every day. You know, something magic happened during that time. He adopted me, and I adopted him. I came from, my dad died when I was 8. And I think God sent Mr. D to me. So, sorry about that. So anyway, I do believe God sent him to me. I have a lot of stories. 41 years, we remained very close. And every major milestone that happened in my life didn't happen without talking to him. Graduation from West Point. First assignment. Marriage, kids. Anything that troubled either one of us, we shared it with each other. As I grew up and became a man, I could understand what he might be going through. He shared every joy and triumph and defeat and difficult time that you guys had with me. And that man was so full of pride for his children. He shared a story, Scott, recently with me, a few years ago, when he accepted your award in the middle of Norcross Field for the Hall of Fame. And he was busting with pride. He talked about you guys all the time, all three of you. I know your lives. I know everything you've gone through, every success, every defeat, every struggle, every victory. That's what we shared with each other on a regular basis. Mr. D was a very special man. I am one of his legacies. I came up from a family that nobody ever went to college. My dad died when I was 8. My mom got a job as a hostess at a restaurant. I was the first to go to college. Now I'm a trial attorney. This is a lot harder than going to trial, trust me. Giving a closing argument or opening statement is nothing compared to the emotion you feel at this moment when you've lost somebody as special as Mr. D. But in addition to me and you guys, I have 8 children. And my 8 children, 5 of them are lawyers or in law school. One of them is a West Point graduate. I have 2 left at home. One wants to be an orthopedic surgeon, and one wants to be a lawyer, West Point grad. Mr. D had a lot to do with that. A lot to do with the way I raised my kids. His legacy extends so far beyond just his family, which is wonderful that he's done such a great job with you guys, but it extends into the community. It extends to my children's children. I will never be able to say goodbye to Mr. Donaldson because he's in here. I carry him wherever I go. I think about him as like an angel on my shoulder. If I need advice, I hear his voice because I turn to him all the time in my life. He was a gift. And I just feel a lot of gratitude that he chose me. So thank you for sharing it with me. I appreciate it.
Save your grandkids to get your stories ready. That's going to be tough to follow. So I'm going to make some people laugh. My name's Diane. I had the pleasure of meeting the Donaldsons when I was a student at Norco High School. And I spent 30 years as a high school basketball coach and math teacher. And I have to tell you, as a high school basketball coach, there are not boosters like the Donaldsons. I could go back to Norco High School and I could know right where they would be at a home football game long after these 3 were gone. I didn't play softball or baseball, but Dawn and of course Mom would show up for games. If we were in something big for volleyball or basketball, there they would be. And then of course, years later when LA Fitness opened, there on Hamner, right across from Target, Mom and Dad got a gym membership and I taught a few fitness classes there after school was out. And anytime I would go in the morning, so it'd have to be summertime, Mr. and Mrs. Donaldson would be there, and of course Mom would be working out. She'd be either on the treadmill or she'd be sitting on some machine, and where would Don be? Anywhere people were, and he would be talking, like Karen said, and getting information. The minute they were done, he'd find somebody else. Anytime I saw him at LA Fitness, he would always catch up. What was I doing? Where was I at? Was I married? Did I have children? What, right? And he genuinely cared about where I was and what I was doing, even though, I wasn't family, but I felt like I was always family. So years later, when Karen graduated from college, she would come back and we had a chance to work at Ken's Sporting Goods together before she took off. And if he ever came into Ken's Sporting Goods, he knew about everybody. He knew Shane, he knew her stories, he knew everything about all the employees that were there, and he always would make a point to have those amazing conversations. And of course, one of my dear friends, when she would come home she lived up in Nevada, she would want to come back to Norco and she'd have to eat Pat's Kitchen. I hope you guys aren't like frequent flyers at Pat's Kitchen, but Mom and Dad always were. And we'd walk in there and I would come in with a baseball cap looking a mess, and Don would see me the minute I walked in. He'd catch my eye, he'd wave, I'd have to come over, and of course, what did he want to know? What was I doing? How was things going? So I'm going to take Karen's challenge to heart, because I think a lot of times we get going and we've got our cell phones or we're too busy, and I know I'm a better person having known him, and I do have to give one little shout out. I was nominated by him for the Norco Hall of Fame, and I was amazed that he knew all the things that he knew. But as I listened to the family talk about him, of course he'd asked me those things over time, right? So when I was coaching at Corona High, he had caught up with me and what was I doing there? And then when I went to Eisenhower or Chino, and so when he nominated me, I was blown away that he knew what I had been doing But I catch myself thinking like, oh, he had asked me along the way and he remembered all that. He genuinely cared about what I was doing, where I was at, and if I felt I was making a difference, and I always did. So I thank the family for doing this today, and I thank you all for being here, and I hope we can all see them dancing up in heaven, because I definitely see them dancing and smiling down at us. So thank you for letting me share.
Hi everyone. My name's Jessica. I'm the oldest granddaughter, and I just wanted to say a couple words. To say he was my papa is an understatement. He was so much more than that. He's my best friend, my rock, my person. He was my entire heart and motivation. Everything I did was for him. Every accomplishment was to make him proud. Because I thought he was the most amazing person on this earth. From the time I can remember, my papa and I were always close. It was such a natural bond that neither of us understood, but we knew there had to be a reason. I soon realized he was my person. I believe everyone has a person in this world. Someone whose sole purpose is to find you and change your life. Papa was that for me. He changed my life in so many ways I can't keep count. Through good times and bad, he was always there with open arms. I truly wouldn't be here if it was for him. He gave me hope in times of darkness, and he was the brightest light in my life. I would get so excited to see him. I remember I would tell everyone about him because he meant the entire world to me. I learned so much from him, from how to make people smile, to his life lessons. He was always full of wisdom and knowledge. He was truly the smartest man I knew. I remember after our talks, I would run and try to find the closest paper and pen so I could write down everything I learned, so I would never forget. He not only picked me up when I was down, but took me under his wing to grow and shine in this world. He always believed in me and never gave up, even when I gave up on myself. He holds a very special place in my heart that no one can ever replace. Papa was my other half, and I feel like the day he passed away, a part of me did too. He brought so much joy, love, and happiness into my life. I truly don't know where I'd be without him. Nothing will ever compare to the impact that he made on my life. My goal in life is to be half the person he was, because he was genuinely an angel on this earth. I'm blessed to have had him for 21 years, and I will never forget the lessons and memories shared. From watching our shows on Friday nights with our popcorn, to walking through the front door and hearing him say, "Hey, look who it is," with those bright eyes and bright smile. These memories will be cherished forever. I don't think I'll ever stop missing him. And I don't think this heartbreak will ever end. But what I can do is try to embody the greatness he was, and share his love, wisdom, and joy that he gave everyone he met. His legacy won't stop at me, and I promise to carry it with me everywhere I go. My kids and my grandkids will know what amazing person me become the woman I am today.